Ma'am, what are you doing here?
Walking to the bus.
Where do you work?
County General. I'm a nurse.
ID in that bag. What's inside?
My work bag.
Open it.
Why? I just told you I'm a
Neighborhood
nurse.
break-ins. Cooperate or I call backup. Am I being...
At 3:34 in the afternoon, with the sun still bright and children's bikes lying on green lawns, a black nurse walking home from a hospital shift was stopped by a patrol car, questioned like a criminal, and threatened for simply existing in the wrong neighborhood. And neither she nor the officer knew that this ordinary-looking moment would end with careers destroyed, secrets exposed, and a verdict that would cost the city $890,000. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe right now so stories like this don't stay buried. Her name was Naomi Reed. She was 28 years old, 5'6", slim, tired, and running on coffee and muscle memory. She had just finished a long shift at County General Hospital, where she worked in the intensive care unit. Naomi was the kind of nurse doctors trusted without question. She noticed small changes before machines did. She caught mistakes before they turned fatal. Patients remembered her voice long after they forgot the pain. That afternoon, none of that mattered. All that mattered was where she was walking and how she looked doing it. Westbrook Hills was quiet money. Tall fences, trimmed hedges, security signs stuck into perfect grass. Naomi had walked through it hundreds of times. The bus route cut straight through, saving her nearly 20 minutes. She always kept her work badge clipped to her bag. She always wore her scrub top folded on top. It made people less nervous, she thought. It made her feel safer. She had gone, maybe half a block, when the patrol car rolled up beside her. Tires slowed. Window down. Engine still running. She felt it before she heard it. The way the air changes, the way your shoulders tighten. The officer stepped out. White. Mid-30s. Clean uniform. Confident walk. His name was Even Cross, though Naomi didn't know it yet. He had been on the force for 11 years and thought he knew trouble when he saw it. "Ma'am, what are you doing here?" he asked. "I'm walking to the bus," Naomi said. Her voice was calm. Flat. Professional. "Where you coming from?" "Work. County General. I'm a nurse." He looked at her bag, at her hoodie, at her skin. ID. Naomi felt the familiar heat in her chest. She kept her hands visible. "Am I being stopped for something?" "Just answer the question." She slid her phone in her pocket and tapped the screen. Recording on. Her father's voice echoed in her head, steady and firm, telling her to always document. "I haven't done anything wrong," she said. "I'm just walking home." Cross stepped closer. "We've had break-ins around here." "At 3 in the afternoon?" she asked. "That bag. What's in it?" "My work things." "Open it." "No," Naomi said, not without a reason. His jaw tightened. "You don't get to decide that." She met his eyes. "Then tell me what crime you think I committed." For a moment, he didn't answer. Cars passed in the distance. A dog barked behind a fence. Everything else was still. "You match a description," he said finally. "What description?" Naomi asked. "Black female. Suspicious behavior." Her lips pressed together. "Walking is not suspicious." Cross's voice dropped. "You can cooperate, or this gets harder." Naomi didn't raise her voice. She didn't move. "Am I being detained?" He hesitated. That half-second mattered. "Yes," he said. "Then I'd like your name and badge number." His eyes narrowed. "You're being difficult." "I'm being lawful," she said. He reached out and grabbed her arm. Not hard, not gentle, just enough. Naomi's heart slammed, but her voice stayed clear. "Officer just grabbed my arm. I am not resisting." Across the street, a front door opened. A woman stepped out, phone in hand, staring. Cross released her immediately. Go back inside. The woman didn't move. Another door opened. Another witness. Naomi felt her hands shake, but she stood still. I am a nurse, she said loudly. I'm walking home from work. I have done nothing wrong. Cross took a step back. His confidence cracked. This interaction is over, he said sharply. You're free to go. Naomi nodded once and walked away. She didn't run. She didn't look back. She made it to the bus stop, sat down, and when the doors closed, the tears came fast and angry. She called her father. He answered on the first ring. Something happened, she said. He listened. Every word. Every detail. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he spoke quietly. Bring everything you recorded. Come to my office. Her father, Leon Reed, was a police captain. He ran internal reviews. He had spent his career holding officers accountable. Naomi had never used his position. Never wanted to. That night, the body camera footage came in. Clear, steady, unforgiving. Even Cross's own camera showed the stop. The questions. The lack of cause. The grab. There was no way out. And this was only the beginning. By the time Naomi reached her father's office, the building was nearly empty. Fluorescent lights hummed. Paperwork sat untouched. Liam watched the footage without blinking. He had seen complaints like this for years, always missing one piece. Always just short of proof. This time, the proof was perfect. Cross had turned on his camera out of habit. He never thought it would be used against him. The angle showed Naomi's badge, the daylight, the calm street. It showed his questions escalating without reason. It showed his hand reaching out first. Leon exhaled slowly. This is clean, he said. Too clean. Naomi wrapped her arms around herself. He didn't care who I was, she said. I was just another body to check. That's the problem, Leon replied. And that's why this matters. Internal data was pulled that same evening. Stop logs. Patrol maps. Times and locations. A pattern began to form almost immediately. Westbrook Hills appeared again and again. So did the same type of person being stopped. Naomi went home after midnight. She barely slept. Her arm didn't hurt, but the memory of the grab replayed again and again. The pause before it. The confidence behind it. The next morning, her phone buzzed nonstop. Supervisors called. Investigators emailed. Witnesses came forward without being asked. One video showed the grab from across the street. Another caught the raised voices. None of them contradicted her story. Cross was placed on leave by noon. When Naomi walked back through Westbrook Hills 2 days later, the street looked the same. Trees, lawns, silence. But she felt different. Heavier. Stronger. She didn't know yet how far this would go. She didn't know there would be lawyers, depositions, and a courtroom full of strangers watching her life play on screens. All she knew was that the camera didn't lie. And neither did she. What started as a walk home had become a line that could not be uncrossed. The city would soon be forced to choose between denial and truth. And truth, once recorded, has a way of demanding payment. The pressure started quietly, the way it always does before things break. By the next morning, Naomi Reed's name was already moving through channels she had never touched before. Internal review. City legal. Union representatives. People who never cared how tired she was or how fast her heart had raced now cared very much about what she said next. Her father warned her early. They will look for cracks, he told her. Not in the video. In you. Naomi stayed home from work that day. Not because she was scared, but because her hands would not stop shaking. She replayed the footage again and again on her phone. Every time, they hit the same. The calm start. The questions that didn't make sense. The moment his hand reached out like he owned her body. Each replay made her chest tighter, but it also made her surer. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't bad timing. This was choice. By noon, Officer Evan Cross had hired an attorney through the police union. By 1, his statement was filed. It claimed he acted on reasonable suspicion and that Naomi was evasive. It said he feared for his safety. Naomi read the report slowly, line by line. Her name was in it, but the person described was a stranger. At 3, her father called. "They want to interview you formally," he said. Recorded. On the record. Naomi didn't hesitate. When? Tomorrow morning. She hung up and sat in silence. She thought about the patients she had held while they cried. About how calm she stayed in emergencies. About how she never raised her voice when families yelled. She knew how to breathe through chaos. She would do the same now. The interview room was small. 1 table. 3 chairs. A camera in the corner. Naomi sat straight, hands folded. Across from her sat 2 investigators. They asked her to walk through the incident again. She did. Slowly. Clearly. She didn't add emotion. She didn't subtract truth. Then they played the body camera footage. Even knowing what was coming, Naomi felt it all over again. The tension. The disbelief. The anger rising and being forced down. When the moment came where Cross grabbed her arm, one of the investigators paused the video. "Did he say anything before this?" the investigator asked. "No," Naomi said. "He decided." The video continued. Her voice on the recording was steady, clear, educated, not angry, just firm. After the interview, Naomi waited in the hallway. Her father walked out 10 minutes later. His face was tight. "They pulled his patrol history," Leon said. "It's worse than we thought." Over the last 5 years, Cross had stopped hundreds of people in Westbrook Hills. The numbers didn't lie. Almost all of them looked like Naomi. The stops were rarely documented properly. Warnings instead of citations. No arrests. No reports filed unless there was a complaint. It was control without accountability. By the end of the week, Cross was suspended without pay. That was when the messages started. Naomi's phone buzzed late at night. Unknown numbers. Voicemails with no words. One message said she was ruining a good man's life. Another told her to be careful. She blocked them all and saved everyone. Then came the request. Cross wanted to speak with her. Her lawyer advised against it. Her father said it was her choice. Naomi thought about the footage again. About how confident he had been. About how small he had tried to make her feel. "I'll talk," she said. "With witnesses." The meeting happened in a conference room at City Hall. A long table. Water bottles untouched. Cross sat across from her in civilian clothes. No badge, no uniform. Just a man who looked tired and angry. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Cross leaned forward. "You didn't have to take it this far." Naomi's voice was quiet. "You didn't have to stop me. I was doing my job." "No," she said. "You were doing what you wanted." He shook his head. "You made me look like a racist." "You did that," Naomi replied. His jaw tightened. "People like you don't understand what we deal with." Naomi met his eyes. "People like me save lives, even when people like you try to break them." Silence filled the room. Cross leaned back. He didn't apologize. He didn't deny it anymore either. He just looked away. The city moved fast after that. Naomi filed a civil rights lawsuit. The city offered a quiet settlement. She refused. Her lawyer laid out the evidence like bricks. Body camera footage. Phone audio. Witness videos. Stop data. Complaints that had been buried. The trial began 6 months later. The courtroom was packed. Naomi sat at the table, hands steady, eyes forward. Cross sat across from her, avoiding her gaze. When the footage played, no one spoke. The room watched in silence as his own camera told the story. Jurors leaned forward. Some shook their heads. One woman wiped her eyes. Cross testified. He said he felt threatened. He said Naomi's refusal to open her bag made him nervous. Then the footage contradicted him. Every word, every claim. Naomi testified next. She spoke plainly. About her job. About her walk. About how tired she was. About how small that grab made her feel. I wasn't scared of him, she said. I was scared of what he could do if no one was watching. That line stayed with the jury. When closing arguments ended, the jury deliberated for hours. Naomi waited in a quiet room with her father. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The verdict came back just before sunset. The jury found in her favor, on every count. The award was $890,000. The courtroom reacted before Naomi did. Gasps, murmurs, reporters scribbling, cameras flashing. Cross stared at the table. His career was over. His name would follow him forever. Naomi exhaled for the first time in months. Outside, reporters asked how she felt. She answered simply, "Seen." The city announced reforms within weeks. New patrol rules. Mandatory reviews. Oversight boards with teeth. Not because they wanted change, but because they could no longer deny it. Naomi returned to work. Same hospital. Same patients. Same bus route. But when she walked through Westbrook Hills now, patrol cars passed without slowing. Officers nodded. Some looked away. The street hadn't changed. The system had been forced to. And the camera that was meant to protect an officer had done something far more important. It told the truth. The money hit Naomi Reed's account on a quiet Tuesday morning. No fireworks, no celebration, just numbers on a screen that didn't erase what her body still remembered. She stared at it for a long time before closing the app. $890,000 could change a life, but it could not rewind time. It could not undo the way her heart jumped when a car slowed near her. It could not erase the feeling of being judged in seconds by someone with power. What it could do was force truth into places that preferred silence. Officer Evan Cross resigned 2 days after the verdict. The department announced it with a short statement, careful with words, careful with blame. He did not admit fault. He did not apologize. He packed his things and left town within a month. No other department would touch him. His name followed him, attached to video that anyone could watch. That was the part he never understood. Cameras don't forget. They don't soften edges. They don't care who you think you are. Naomi went back to work the following week. The hospital welcomed her quietly. No banners, no speeches, just nods and soft smiles. Patients didn't know what she had been through, and she didn't tell them. She focused on monitors, medications, breathing rhythms. In the ICU, control mattered. Order mattered. Her hands stopped shaking when she worked. That space reminded her who she was before a patrol car interrupted her life. At night, the messages slowed, then stopped. People moved on, as they always do. Naomi didn't. She started meeting with others who had been stopped, searched, questioned without cause. Some had video. Many didn't. They all had stories. The same questions, the same tone. The same feeling of being reduced to a threat. Naomi listened more than she spoke. She learned how common it was. How quiet people stayed because they thought no one would believe them. She used part of the settlement to fund legal help. Not a charity with a name. Just support. Attorneys willing to listen. Filing fees covered. Cameras reviewed. Naomi didn't want attention. She wanted action. She wanted people to know they weren't alone. She remembered the moment witnesses stepped outside and how the power shifted. No uniform changes behavior faster than accountability. The city council passed new policies under pressure. Officers were restricted to assigned areas. Stop data was reviewed monthly. Patterns triggered audits automatically. Body cameras were checked at random. Not because leaders suddenly cared, but because denial was no longer safe. Naomi attended one meeting and sat in the back. She didn't speak. She watched. Change looked slow and uncomfortable. That meant it was real. One afternoon months later, Naomi walked the same route through Westbrook Hills. A patrol car passed. It didn't slow. The officer inside glanced over, then looked forward. Naomi kept walking. Her shoulders stayed relaxed. Her breathing stayed even. It wasn't peace. It was space. Sometimes that's enough to keep going. Her father, Leon Reed, retired the following year. On his last day, he cleaned his office and left the photo on the wall until the end. Naomi in her scrubs. Tired. Steady. He didn't frame it for pride. He framed it for reminder. Accountability mattered, even when it cost. Especially then. Naomi never spoke to even Cross again. She didn't need closure from him. The record was clear. The verdict was public. His own words lived on, preserved exactly as spoken. That was justice in its simplest form. Truth shown without filters. Power stripped of excuses. People still asked if the money was enough. Naomi always answered the same way. It was never about the money. She didn't explain further. Those who understood didn't need it. Those who didn't wouldn't hear it anyway. What stayed with her most was how fast an ordinary day became something else. How easily a walk home turned into a test of dignity. She taught that lesson now, quietly, to anyone who would listen. Know your rights. Stay calm. Document everything. Witnesses matter. Cameras matter. Truth matters. The spot where it happened looked the same. Sidewalk clean. Trees tall. Lawns perfect. Naomi passed it without stopping. She didn't look down. She didn't look back. She kept moving, not because she had won, but because she had survived and turned that survival into something that could not be ignored. This story did not end with a check or a headline. It ended with a shift, small but permanent, carved into records and habits and expectations. One camera. One decision. One refusal to stay silent. That was enough to expose what had been hidden in plain sight, and enough to remind anyone watching that power only lasts until it's seen clearly.